Hey, my name is Russell Brunson. I want to welcome you to my channel. I'm so excited to have you here. If you could take a moment really quick and click on the subscribe button, that way I can send you really cool videos like this in the future. But today I'm going to be talking about a 5-part video series I'm doing right now. It was actually an interview I did with this man right here. Go! His head got really big. Tai Lopez, and I was actually in California. This is a couple months ago. I was out in California, and I actually messaged Tai, and he said, "Hey, come on over to the Tai mansion, hang out, and we'll do an interview." So I got there super late, and I was like 11:30 at night. I'm like, "Well, there's no way we're doing this interview." And sure enough, we showed up. He fed me, and then about 1 o'clock in the morning, if you've ever been to Tai's house or seen it, he broke out like 400 cameras. He had cell phones galore for Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, networks I'd never even heard of, and we did this interview and it turned out really, really cool, and I wanted to share it with you. So the very first part of this interview, Tai's asking about how we built ClickFunnels from $0 to $100 million, and the first thing we talked about is how you actually build a movement. I talked about the movement that ClickFunnels has built. We talked about some of our success stories like Lady Boss and the movement they've created and a whole bunch of other stuff. So with that said, let's jump into part 1 of this interview series with me and Tai Lopez.
Russell, take me back. 3 years ago, you decided to launch this company called ClickFunnels, which are you now number 1 competitor with Shopify?
I think so. I don't know anyone else is even close, so pretty sure.
And you did this, you have 5 kids, you live in Idaho, for all of you who live in smaller markets and you don't think you can make any money. So what was the feeling to go from 0 and 3 years later be doing $100 million a year?
That was never the goal. I mean, the goal is to try to do whatever, but it's funny because about 4 years ago when we had the idea and we're like, okay, can we do this? Like a lot of people tried it before. I had tried it before.
Yeah.
Luckily, I had a co-founder named Todd Dickerson who was technically able to build it, and he spent about a year building it, and then it came back and it was just amazing. And so I'm like, all right, let's sell this. And so that's my job, to be the guy selling it, talking about it, and trying to build the excitement behind it. And it's crazy because it took off, and at first it was kind of slow. It took a while to figure out how to sell and how to get people excited about it. And then when it started working, and then started getting success stories, people having success with it and more, and started growing and growing, and yeah, the last 3 years has been nuts.
So let's go through this marketing, because a lot of people who listening in are people who have an idea and they want to grow it. One of your secrets is not just selling a product, but creating a movement.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. That's really your I asked you, the number one thing you think is responsible for growth, and those of you listening should emulate. You've written this book called Expert Secrets. You got Robert Kiyosaki on the front cover recommending it, and the underground playbook to find your message, build a tribe, and change the world. So why do people need to build a tribe? How do you do it?
The market we're going into, there's a lot of competitors, right? Mm-hmm. And all of them are they're brands, but they're kind of nameless, faceless. They're just brands trying to do this thing, right? And I remember about that time I went to a network marketing thing because I had some friends in it. I was like, I want to see how these guys do their stuff. I show up in this room, and there's 4,000 or 5,000 people in this room, and everyone's getting on stage and they're crying. And I'm so confused. I'm like, this is a software company. Why are these people crying? And person after person for 2 or 3 days, and I'm so confused. And finally I look over to one of my buddies sitting there, and I'm like, and he said to me, do you know what they're doing here? And I was like, I had no idea, but everyone's crying. I'm confused. And he said they didn't build a software company. He's like, they created a movement. That's why people are here. That's why they're coming. And this is time. So
you're saying they built the movement before they even branded this concept?
Yeah, well, as they were doing it. And so we were launching ClickFunnels, and I was like, if we're just a software company like everybody else, then we're a commodity, right? And if you're a commodity, then it's everyone's fighting for the lowest price, and eventually you price yourself out, and then it's just that's how a lot of businesses happen. And I was like, we need to build something bigger where people are part of this movement, and they're part of our tribe, and they feel they belong to this thing. And so about that time we were launching ClickFunnels, and again, at first it didn't take off like I thought it was. And I remember about 2 or 3 months into it, I did a presentation about a concept we call funnel hacking, which is go you find somebody else has a funnel, you look at it, and then you model it inside of ClickFunnels. And our people started calling themselves funnel hackers, and I was like, okay, this is a thing we can. So I was like, hey, we're funnel hackers. We started making t-shirts, and everyone that signed up for our software, we make them watch a 10-minute video showing them how to use ClickFunnels. We mail them a t-shirt that said funnel hacker. Almost every week since we launched ClickFunnels, there's been the next ClickFunnels killer that's coming out, and everyone, right. I got the emails from everyone forward, and oh, the competitor's coming out. And so far, I think it's been 30 something that have come out, and all of them have kind of fallen by the wayside and didn't do much.
You think that's because they weren't movements like yours?
Yeah, well, I asked some of my members, I'm like, how come you guys don't try their software? Why aren't you switching over? And they said, because we're part, this is not your company, Russell. This is us. We're funnel hackers. ClickFunnels is our tool. This is who we are. And they said, one guy I remember told me, he's like, I look at it long enough, I look at the ad in my Facebook feed just long enough to laugh, and then I scroll on because I know that I'm a funnel hacker and I'm part of this movement. And they don't even, and so it's like, everyone's coming trying to beat us on pricing and things like that. And it's like, no, we built a community, we built a tribe of people who have a belief they're going somewhere, there's a vision of what they're all trying to do, and that has been so huge in propelling us to this growth. They also share, I mean, we get organically about 1,000 people a day that are signed for ClickFunnels, and that's not coming from our paid ads.
These are paid customers, by the way. 55,000 paid customers.
And not the free ones like most software.
Your free email list is probably, how big do you share?
Over 1 million.
Over 1 million.
Yeah, and we've probably had about 500,000 or so that have actually created an account. But yeah, 55,000 they're actively paying
you, and it costs between what?
Between $100 and $300 a month.
100 and 300, and then you got some upgrades people can do. Yeah. So it's interesting you're talking about this because I was just reading this. It's like I like to read textbooks, even though I didn't go to college. This is how I do my version of college. So I was reading this book on it's just a Dr. David Buss's psychology book. He's actually coming here tomorrow. It's one of the most interesting guys in the world. And he's talking about the rise of gang membership around the world. And he said it completely tracked the breakdown of the old family unit tribe, right? Gangs started to get big, let's say. I mean, there's always been some form of gang, but people want to belong to something. Mm-hmm. And so now if you can build a business, you see that with like Lady Gaga. She called her fans like wasn't it Little Monsters or something like that? And Justin Bieber, what are they called? Beliebers.
So one of our top success stories I talk about in the book a lot, it's a fitness she's in the weight loss space, and her last name her maiden name was Tool. So she always was Tool Time Trainer, and it was tough because people didn't self-identify with that.
Right.
And so she heard this the first time. She was at an event we did, and on the flight home, she's like, I need to change this to something that that my people will associate with. And it was tougher because her business at that point had been her name. And she's like, but that's not big enough for everybody else. And so on the flight home, she was thinking about ideas, and all of a sudden she had this idea. She's like, I'm gonna rebrand it as Lady Boss Weight Loss, and my women are gonna be lady bosses. They went home, they completely deleted their whole business, which was doing well, rebranded it, launched this thing called Lady Bosses. And if you look at her movement right now, they have over 100,000 women who have purchased their programs, who are in this thing, and every single week they do these swag drops. They come in and she's like, I got my Lady Boss swag, and she'll come in and she'll reveal it, and it'll sell it for a short period of time, and I'm not allowed to share their numbers, but they will sell so much clothing in a finite period of time to all the lady bosses.
Yeah.
Because they have these shirts that say, I'm a lady boss, and they have all these quotes that people self-identify with.
Yeah.
And when they took it from a brand of their name to this thing that's bigger, people can identify with.
I just want to reiterate, I've seen this over and over. Even what I do, people, I have Knowledge Society as one of the names of one of my companies. And it's not even something I try to brand. And I see my employees latching onto that, because you can't latch onto being Tai Lopez. That's just one person. But being attached to Knowledge Society is this higher purpose. And if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there's 5 levels of needs. Physiological is at the base foundation. And you have number 2, you have safety. And then number 3, you have love. And number 4, you have status and respect. But number 5 is self-actualization, or actualization to a higher purpose. And that's where people find God, and they find, they find Mahatma Gandhi and his movement to kind of gain independence for his country, Martin Luther King Jr., Abraham Lincoln. And so what you're doing is you're applying those same principles to a brand. Mm-hmm. And took you from 0 to $100 million a year.
Mm. And think about the big brands, the ones that have done a really good job in the last generation have done that. You look at Apple, people,
biggest company in the world, Apple.
People self-identify with
that. Oh yeah.
Right? There's Apple users and there's everybody else. There's that thing. You look at shoes, you look at clothing line, look at the best brands have done that. For some reason, most businesses we don't think about that. It's I sell this, or I'm a financial planner, I'm in real estate, or whatever. But it's those who start looking at the pattern. I'm a big pattern guy. You see a pattern, it's okay. Now I know the pattern, how can I amplify that? So we realize this is the pattern. And the book goes through how to create those movements. But you understand the pattern, and it's okay, how can I do this in my business? And when I became aware of it, then it's okay, now I know what it is. I can amplify this, and I know these are the pieces of how to make this movement happen, and what are all the elements of a good movement, and then how to be the leader of that movement, and what are the things, when you understand it, you can amplify it. And most people never know. They're just, I sell this thing. This is my business.
Tell us a little more. What did you build? Was it just this hack funnel kind of idea, or funnel hacks, or what do people identify with?
I think the majority of our members, they're small entrepreneurs. They're people who they're still involved in like their business, like the marketing of the business, and they're passionate about their idea. I was our customers like 5 or 6 years ago. Like I had ideas, I had things I wanted to get out, but I don't know how to do that. I'm not a website designer or developer or anything. And so I had to like hire people, and it's so slow and just frustrating. So for me, it was like when we had ClickFunnels, I was able to like, as someone who's passionate about my product or my service, I could just go and put it out there really, really fast.
Yeah.
You know, I was talking to your partner earlier about MentorBox, and he was like, back in the day, he's like, I had 100 developers here to build all of our software and our things. He's like, yes, I'm gonna work for a company now. 2, and they log into ClickFunnels and they edit stuff. Like that's all we do. So it gives people like us who are passionate about a product or an idea or whatever, it gives us, I always tell people, it makes entrepreneurs free to like share their message and not get bogged down in all the tech stuff that keeps people from doing it. And so our people, our funnel hackers, like that's their thing, is like, I don't get stuck down all the tech. I can just go and share my message. I can sell products. I can do whatever it is I want to do. And
so if people have an idea, you're no longer constrained by technology.
Thanks so much for watching part 1. I hope you enjoyed the interview so far. Make sure you subscribe right now. That way you'll get notifications when episode number 2 comes out to see the next part of this amazing interview.